is
Smile.
enjoy. Smile for Peppa. Smile for Peppa. Shit, I don't see Peppa. I see a machine. There you go. That'll work. That'll work. It'll work. Hello. You gonna MC Casey's show? Yeah. You gonna MC Casey's show? Focus.
Hello, how you doing? I just bought it. I'm trying to figure it out. Okay? Smile for Peppa.
Baby. Sweet. Yeah, smile. Yeah, I'm not going to smile at that thing.
I think she's
Welcome to the 20th Century Celebration! Our sorrows, our triumphs, and tribulations. Music entertained us as well as motivated our patriotism. Tonight, we present 10 decades of musical memories, a century of celebration.
Buffalo Bill was at the height of his popularity, and the crowds were rushing to see vaudeville and Ziegfeld Follies. Broadway was here to stay. As the decade drew to an end, the threat of war in Europe began to grow. Our innocence was soon to be gone, but oh, what a beginning we had to the 25th century.
Here
dial telephone, radio, and the electronic era continued to shape our musical styles. Talkies were thrilling audiences, and Duke Ellington made his debut. Radio shows in the first MGM movie musical were taking the country by storm. What a fabulous decade, but it would soon come to a dramatic end when the stock market crashed in 1929 and sent the country into the Great Depression. But until that day, we were happy.
Charleston, Charleston, radiating Carolina. Some dance, some friends all say nothing is finer than the Charleston, Charleston. Lord, how you can shuffle. Every step you do leads to something new. And I'm telling you, it's a long pursuit. Sometimes you miss it one time. The dance will go Charleston, in South Carolina.
new sights and sounds, school dances would never be the same.
One through a party in the county jail. Prison bell was there and began to wail. The joy began to swing. Sugar hoods knocked out, jailbirds sing, let's rock. Everybody, let's rock. Everybody in the whole cell block was dancing to the jailhouse rock. 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, rock. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. Put your glad rags on, join me on, have some fun when the clock strikes one. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. We're gonna rock till broad daylight. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. I can't seem to stand on my own 2 feet. Who do you think when you have such luck? I'm in love, I'm all shook up. Yeah, yeah. Please don't ask me what's on my mind. I'm a little bit, my heart beats so lips are like a volcano that's hot. I'm all shook up. Yeah, yeah.
About the birds and the bees and the flowers and the trees and the moon up above and a thing called love.
Let me tell you about the stars in the sky and the girl and the guy and the way they feel on a night like this. Big brown eye, it's a very plain to see.
It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. It's not unusual to have fun with anyone. But when I see you hanging about with anyone, it's not unusual. It happens every day. No matter what they say, you'll find it happens all the time. What you wanted to, I can't this crazy longing heart.
There goes my baby with someone new. He sure looks happy, I sure am too. He was my baby till she stepped in. Goodbye to romance that might have been. Bye bye love, bye bye happiness. Hello loneliness, think I'm gonna cry. Bye bye love, bye bye sweet romance. Hello emptiness, feel like I can die. Bye bye love is gone. Oh, Frankie, please don't leave. Going to the beach won't be the same without you. You know, deep in your heart, you can never love anybody as much as me. Frankie, sometimes I think you let him sit for it more than me. What do you have to say for yourself?
Everybody that moves across the USA, let everybody be served like California. See you wearing the baggies, the Rachi sandals too. Tell everybody about it. Surfing USA.
Surfing USA. Splish splash, I was taking a bath. On about a Saturday night. Rub a dub, just relaxing in the tub. Thinking everything was alright. The feeling starting to be on the floor. I wrapped the towel around me and I opened the door. Splish splash, I forgot about the bath. Put my dancing shoes on. Splashing, wishing and splashing, rolling and strolling. Come on, baby, let's do the twist. Come on, baby, let's do
The 60s seemed to be a decade of incredibly diverse musical styles. No other time period created such contrast. Rock and roll continued to dominate the scene. The British 60s, young people were finding their voices, and the hippie generation began. Their clothes, lifestyles, and of course folk music reflected thoughts, feelings, and desires for a peaceful world.
There you go.
my better. These are words that go together well, my Michelle. Michelle, ma belle, sono scrive tre non so, non so. That's all I want to say until I find a way. I will say the only words I know that you'll understand. All my troubles seem so far away. Now it looks as though they're here to stay. Oh, I believe in yesterday. I need as to go, I don't know, he wouldn't say. I said something wrong, now I long for yesterday. Love was such an easy game to play. Now I need a place to hide away. Oh, I believe in yesterday.
The 1970s was a decade that brought the Have a Nice Day smiley face, a recession, an energy crisis, bell-bottom pants, polyester, 8-track players, and the feathered-looking hair. There were some awesome rock songs born in this decade, along with pop stars such as the Carpenters and Barry Manilow. Most would definitely agree that by the mid to late 70s, the dominating music style would definitely be the decade of the disco. Hang on as we remember platform shoes, discotheques, John Travolta, and Boogie Fever.
Please don't talk about love. you take me to Honky Town? Won't you take me to Honky Town?
Times I was afraid, I was petrified. Kept thinking I could never live. I spent so many nights thinking how you did me wrong. I grew strong, and I learned how to get along. And so you're back from outer space. I just walked in to find you here with that sad look upon your face. I should have changed that stupid lock. I should have made you leave your key. I'd have known for just 1 second you'd be back to bother me. Walk now, go. Walk out the door. Just turn around now. You're not welcome anymore. Weren't you the one who tried to hurt me with goodbye? Think I'd rumble? Think I'd lay down and die? Oh no, not I. I will survive. Oh, as long as I know how to love, I know I'll stay alive. I've got all my life to live. I've got all my life to give. I'll survive. I will survive. I will survive.
It was a decade of spending, a decade of excess. The 1980s was a decade of disposed wealth. The recession was over. Fancy clothes, big homes, big office buildings, and foreign cars. It seemed everyone had money, well, at least credit cards. We were buying the new videotape recorders and Comcast discs were being introduced to the music buying culture. Disco was dead, at least in the mainstream. The rhythms were beginning to change. Drum machines and synthesizers were taking over the recorded sound, and pop music ruled the airwaves.
I'm gonna live forever. I'm gonna learn how to rock hard. I feel it coming together. People see me
about your heart. But terror takes the sound before you make it. As horror looks you right between the eyes, you're paralyzed.
All the things we bought on credit in the 80s now have been paid for somehow in the 90s. Now it was time to scale back. People were trying to find the simple life, but less was definitely more. It was time to say goodbye to the 20th century.
Can't touch this. Can't touch this. Can't touch this.
Jump up and down, and move it all around. Show your hands to the sun, put your hands up to the ground. Take one step left and one step right. One to the front and one to the side. Clap your hands first and clap your hands twice. And if it looks like this, then you do it. A little bit of Monica in my line. A little bit of Erica by my side. A little bit of Rita, all I need. A little bit of Tina, what I see. A little bit of Sandra in the sun. A little bit of Mary all night long. A little bit of Jessica, here I am. A little bit of you makes me your name.
I
began to look ahead to what the future would begin, the 21st century.
Grew up in a small town, and when the rain would fall down, I just stare out my window, dreaming of what could be. And if I end up happy, I would pray. Try hard to reach out, but when I try to speak out, felt like no one could hear me. Wanted to belong here, but something felt so wrong here. So I prayed I could break away. I'll spread my wings and I'll learn how to fly. I'll do what it takes till I touch the sky. I'll make a wish, take a chance, make a change, and break away. Out of the darkness and into the sun, I won't forget all the ones that I love. Take a risk, take a chance, make a change, and break away. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Sleep under a palm tree, feel the rush of the ocean. Get on board a fast train, travel on a jet plane, far away, and break away. I'll spread my wings and I'll learn how to fly. I'll do what it takes till I touch the sky. Make a wish, take a chance, make a change, and break away. Out of the darkness and into the sun, I won't forget all the ones that I love. Take a risk, take a chance, make a change, and break away. Buildings with 100 floors, swinging around revolving doors. Maybe I don't know where they'll take me, but I gotta keep moving on, fly away, break away. I'll spread my wings and I'll learn how to fly. I'll do what it takes till I touch the sky. Make a wish, take a chance, make a change, and break away. Out of the darkness and into the sun, but I won't forget all the ways that I've gone. Take a risk, take a chance, make a change, and break away. Break
And here is Collins. Collins is senior, wrapping up his collegiate career. Chuck Smith and Shazan Bradley on the tackle.
I like what Joe's doing there, giving him a chance to get some carries at the end of his career, to play in the Fiesta Bowl. You know, it's strange because, you know, you assume in a lot of cases that, you know, a lot of these people go on and play professionally. They don't. A very few do. This is the culmination of their career, and you can see by the last 4 possessions of Penn State, it's been their show here in the second half.
Third down and 7. Jerry Collins, number 23. And the fake. And the pass is incomplete to J.T. Morris. It will be 4th down.
Well, Morris just tripped over his feet. The young freshman was so excited to get the ball in his chest that he actually trips himself trying to catch that ball. So why are you so... Okay, coming back, all seriousness aside, coming back to your vacillating on the playoffs.
Well, I think I would like a national champion to be decided on the field. And also I like the idea of having 3 or 4 teams, a lot of players, a lot of fans, alumni that can claim the national title. I think that's all part of the college scene.
Okay, I have a point to that after this. Now the bounce is going Penn State's
Every
way.
bounce goes Penn State's way.
First half, that would have bounced into the end zone. Now all of a sudden, it bounces straight up. Tennessee's in bad field position.
Bob Check, the snapper, who was the team manager, was the man that was down who downed the ball. Now back to your discussion.
Well, that's
notice how I've got away from my discussion to your discussion.
This is an interesting segue. Well, the argument that I would have against the playoff is you say to yourself, how many teams get to get in? It's kind of like in basketball. I remember when I was a kid, there was only a 16-team tourney. Then it turned into 32, and now it's 64. And even at 64, you have some people complaining, why aren't we in the tourney? So how are you going to get a fair situation with the top 12 or top 8? How's that going to happen?
I would invite them all.
Oh, yeah, right. And play until March.
Heath Schuler is now the quarterback for Tennessee. And here is Hayden on the left side. Schuler, the freshman from Bryson City, North Carolina. What little...
That's the end of Andy Kelly's career. Johnny Majors has said that's enough. Give some of the younger people a chance. And he's had a great career, all-time leader for Tennessee, rather, in yards, completions, attempts. Senior from Dayton, Tennessee. And I tell you what, you know, as I said earlier, and I'm not going to go back on this simply because they struggled in the second half. I think he's shown the pro scouts a lot in the first half of what he can do.
Here is Hayden again with the call. He'll pick up the first down.
Kenneth Campbell on the run.
That is Kenneth Campbell.
You know, it's one of those things where, you know, as a football player, I have to tell you, so many things go on that are beyond your control. You do what you can. Who could predict as he gets a nice hug there from McCleskey? Thanks for a great career. Very emotional moment for those two, particularly Andy Kelly.
He started out so well.
Arguably the greatest quarterback in Tennessee history.
He set all the records. Schuler goes deep, and it is incomplete. Ronald Davis, the intended receiver. Perry. Be sure to stay with us. Is coming up next on NBC Championship Wednesday, concluding with primetime showdown from Miami, the Federal Express Orange Bowl, the #1 University of Miami Hurricanes facing the Big 8 champion, number 11 Nebraska, in a battle that will determine the national championship.
You know, I don't know if this is a motivating factor for the Cornhuskers or not, but you recall that game after the '83 season when Nebraska had that juggernaut team of Mike Rozier, Turner Gill, Irving Fryer, and everybody just assumed that they were going to be national champions, and Miami defeated them in Miami. Turnabout could be fair play, and I don't know if that's on Nebraska's minds or not, but certainly an opportunity to do it.
Hayden, the ball carrier, Bono with the tackle, and also continuing your discussion of a playoff for the national championship. Dick Enberg and Bill Walsh in the Orange Bowl coverage. We'll be also discussing that. And halftime of the Orange Bowl, Beano Cook will also discuss that all here on NBC. Third down and 2.
Hey, outstanding, huh?
And this will be close to the first down.
Another issue here that I think people have been addressing with regards to a playoff situation is the classroom time. If indeed we get a playoff situation, wouldn't that sort of thing run into February? Might be a problem.
No, not really, from the standpoint that the last regular season game in the collegiate ranks is usually the last week in November. You know, both of these ball clubs had a 4-week playoff.
But what happened to the concept of student athlete? I mean, I guess my point here is that I'm saying to myself, you know, collegiate athletics has become so professionalized as it is. why should we further that and take on almost a hockey playoff format by your criterion of saying let them all come in?
But it already has happened because in many schools have 2 or 3 games before school ever starts.
Let's retain some of the innocence. I like the beauty contest mentality at the end of the season. It gives me a chuckle. We don't take ourselves quite as seriously where that's concerned.
Oh, I don't fault that concept. That's the reason I vacillate. I've got it covered both ways. And the pass is high, and it is incomplete to Faulkner. Statistics do lie. Total offense to this point, Penn State just over 200 yards, 206. Tennessee total offense almost 450 yards, officially 445. The score is 42-17, Penn State over Tennessee, and now Washington running away from Michigan in the fourth quarter, 34-7. And Washington over 300 yards in total offense, and Michigan held to only 95 yards of total offense so far in the Rose Bowl.
And that's the kind of domination that impresses the voters. And you know what? The funny thing about this is that now what I don't like to see is, say, for instance, in a game like this, say Miami gets up on Nebraska, then they want to drill them. You know, they want to keep their starters in and beat them by 50 points just so they can impress the pollsters. You know, that part of it I don't like. But that's all part of it, you know.
Now to sidestep just for a moment, because part of the college season, the uniforms at Penn State, very conservative and very educational. That's what Joe Paterno likes. And he talked about the uniforms, and we'll have that discussion right after this play. But that's also what he considers part of the college scene. Very conservative. He got the idea originally of the uniforms from the New York Giants, where he grew up in New York. Very plain. We asked him about the uniforms.
And I think the uniforms tell a kid, hey, look, your name's not going to be on the back of your jersey. You're never going to have any fancy stuff on your helmet. Nobody's going to single you out as being any different than anybody else. And when you put that uniform on and playing with, you know you're just a team player.
Well, okay, great. So that means along with that jersey that's not going to win any Ralph Lauren awards, you can wear those Johnny Unitas shoes and fit right in. Well, like the uniforms are hated, you have to give credit to this university and what they've done over the last few years in the football program. And if there's a more likable man than Joe Paterno, I don't know who it is.
You know, I had the fortune as you look through the winningest 1A coaches, and look at those names: Bear Bryant, Alonzo Stagg, Pop Warner, Joe Paterno, Woody Hayes, Bo Schembechler, Johnny Majors. 5 years ago, I did the Fiesta Bowl here for the national championship against Miami. And I must tell you, of course, there were different kind of pressures there on Joe Paterno. Sure. He was a lot more fun this week than he was then.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's understandable. You know, the only thing
he's 5 years older and he's more relaxed.
The tough thing about looking at that, if he's only going to coach 5 more years, is even if he averaged 10 wins a year, he's not going to be able to catch up, which is kind of too bad. The one thing I was going to say, though,
he may not quit.
Yeah, he just said that. That's right. Well, the one thing that is impressive about that is that he has the second highest winning percentage. It's just not a matter of having been around a long time. He has a winning percentage of 79.1, second only to Tom Osborne's 81%.
Phillips on the receiving end of the pass. Rich McKenzie with the tackle. And so it is 4th down, and Tom Hutton will come in to kick it away. And there is Johnny Majors of Tennessee. And it looked as if he had the Fiesta Bowl completely within his grasp, and then it just flew away. Bobby Ingram is now the return man for Penn State. Ingram, the freshman from Camden, South Carolina. Getting a little return experience. Flag is down. And another flag. This, by the way, is the most points that Tennessee has allowed since 1989.
On the receiving team, a 15-yard penalty, 1st down.
Since 1989, when they lost to Alabama 47-30. And we'd like to take this moment to pass along our thanks to John Junker, the executive director of the Fiesta Bowl, and his fine staff for all of their help in our coverage of today's game. We'd also like to thank the sports information directors of the 2 schools, Bud Allman of Penn State and Bud Ford of Tennessee. And we really appreciate the cooperation of the players and the coaching staff from both schools.
You know, we've talked a little bit about Andy Kelly's pro prospects. What do you think of Tony Saka?
Well, I think they're good because he's big and strong. And he needs some work. And Joe Paterno said this. He needs a good year working in the pros with, you know, as a backup or as a number 3 quarterback where he can get a lot of snaps. He needs certain areas that he needs to work on, but he's a good, tough, very smart kid. He's a big athlete, strong. He's got there's a good professional future for him.
Yeah, I think you're right. Penn State's quarterbacks in the past that were highly rated, the likes of Todd Blackledge, Chuck Fusina, John Huffnagel, really didn't pan out in the pros. But as you mentioned, you know, we've watched a lot of pro football this year, Charlie, and watched a lot of quarterbacks go down. And so it really is a benefit to have somebody who's 6'5", 225 pounds in there.
Kerry Collins now the quarterback for Penn State. And here's Shelly Hammonds. And he will pick up the first down. Now let's go down to Ahmad Rashad.
That's probably wonder where I've been. Well, I've been down here and watched the game.
Where have you been?
Well, when the game got out of hand, I was talking to these gentlemen right here. See, this is part of the space shuttle crew of the shuttle mission STS-44. Jim Voss, Tom Hennon, and Story Musgrave. They were sitting down here kicking it with me, but the game got out of hand. I guess they had a mission to go to because they left like the most of these people.
Why didn't you at least get them to autograph the picture?
Oh, so you don't believe they were really here?
No. I think you're making that up. I think you're trying to save yourself.
Oh, thanks a lot, guys.
Oh, here they are.
Here they are. First down. And here is Jerry Collins, the ball carrier. And he's going to pick up about 5 on the play. And he is stopped by Sean Walker and Eric Riffer. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Terry O'Neill. The coordinating producer of NBC's football coverage is John Francis. Today's Fiesta Bowl telecast has been produced by Tommy Roy and directed by John McDonough. Our associate director, Jeffrey Simon. Our production associate, Harold Bryant. Our production manager, Chuck Bond, and our tech manager, Art Parker, and a great crew. Beautiful shots. Thanks to everyone involved in this, the 21st Fiesta Bowl.
Special thanks to our director, John McDonough. Outstanding job this season.
Why is it a special thanks to? Why are you signaling out John McDonough?
Well,
I'd say something nice about Tommy Roy, the producer.
Well, okay, then special thanks to Tommy Roy too. Just because of the fact that this is our last chance to work with John McDonough. I just wanted him to know how much I appreciated his work.
Well said.
That and the fact that I have $50 in my pocket. So.
And now another quarterback change for Penn State. Matt Nardolillo is now the quarterback. And with this victory, as we'll take the countdown of the last few seconds, Penn State's record here in the Fiesta Bowl will be perfect. We said at the top of the telecast that 5 was the magic number, and their record will be 5-0. And don't forget that we'll be going, those of you that have remained with us, right to the Orange Bowl, where the national championship will be decided. We take the countdown now of the last 10 seconds to make it official. The handshake between the two head coaches, I think they wonder about it as much as we do. A big turnaround. Penn State comes from behind second half, wins it 42-17. Don't forget, we'll be going to the Orange Bowl and the national championship.
And he will run it out of bounds. Here are tonight's Visa players of the game. For the University of Tennessee, Chuck Smith. He had 4 tackles and many pressures tonight. And from the University of Florida, freshman defensive back Larry Kennedy. 1 touchdown interception return. He had 4 breakups and 75 yards in kickoff return. And as a part of their continuing effort to further the development of amateur athletics, Visa is proud to donate $1,000 to each university and $1,000 to the U.S. Olympic team. Kelly will be sacked by 93 Bill Gunner. That is the 3rd time that Florida has gotten to the quarterback tonight. And now the clock runs under 30 seconds to play. Chris Fowler and Lee Corso coming up next to the Residence Inn Scoreboard Show. And they'll talk about what has been an upset Saturday. Texas surprised Oklahoma, who was in the top 10. Syracuse got shocked by East Carolina. However, I'll tell you what, there are a lot of people on this crew, you and myself included, though, that are never surprised what happens to East Carolina. I think that young fellow does a great job there, and they're a good football team.
Well, I think Billy Lewis has himself a pretty good football team. I think Syracuse is a good, solid ball club,
yes,
too. And you just never know. I saw some plays from our scoreboard show on there, some unusual plays, but again, you credit Bill Lewis and his staff with an outstanding win. We said Fred Goldsmith and his staff at Rice and the Texas staff. But you look at Paul Pasqualoni, who's done a very fine job with that Syracuse team, and they'll still be back in this picture also. And Baylor, Grant Taft, he'll rebound, and it's just college football. It's what makes it so great. That's me being a broadcaster, I say, not as a coach.
Well, they go with the running play and down to the 45-yard line, and that could very possibly be the final play of the game. Tennessee being run now by Heath Schuler, the freshman out of North Carolina. And Tennessee will call a timeout. They'll stop it with 7 seconds left. And, of course, the crowd was just getting in rhythm with the countdown, so they come up with a large boo. Next Saturday night, Colorado Springs, Colorado. Mike and I will be up in the beautiful Rockies as the Notre Dame Fighting Irish come to town to take on the Air Force Academy. And that's always fun up there. I just hope that this time, the last time we were up there, they had the flyby, which we were expecting, but then a B-1 bomber or something, a B-something came over that just shocked us all right out of our socks.
Well, I've never been there. They say it's a beautiful place. Fisher DeBerry and his coaching staff off to a great year. And, of course, Lou Holtz and the Notre Dame staff have continued to win and continue to put a good football team both sides of the ball on the field.
Kelly running for his life. He will go, I beg your pardon, Heath Schuler down to the 32-yard line, and this one is history. As the Florida Gators have gotten revenge from the Tennessee Volunteers from last year's 45-3 shellacking, and they have won it 35-18, and have just been handed the numbers on Andy Kelly as Schuler came in to take over for him late. 35 of 56, 3 interceptions, 394 yards. And let's go down to Adrian Karsten, who is with a happy Steve Spurrier.
Coach, congratulations. What was it that allowed you to win this game tonight? Was it the emotion, 85,000, the big plays? What was the biggest element?
Adrian, I think it was everything combined. We've been pretty good in our ballpark because we got the best fans in the world, but our defense played super. We gave a little ground here and there. Coach Ron Zook had a super defensive plan for him. Shane Matthews, receivers made some big catches. It was a team victory.
Coach, you have been in the past concerned about your special teams. When your punter, Shane Edge, averages over 50 yards a kick with hang time of 5 seconds, Pickens and Banks never became an issue.
Shane was outstanding, and our kickoff man did a good job also. So it was, like you said, all of our guys played super tonight.
What's it like being at home as opposed up to Knoxville?
It's a lot different.
Congratulations, Coach. Ron, back to you.
Thanks, Adrian. So the Florida Gators have won over the Volunteers at Tennessee. Stay tuned for the scoreboard show after this commercial. Florida wins it 35-18.
You can check us out at morethanmemoriestn.com or call us at 865-414-3954.